Greetings. I am Jamie Pickering. I've been a member of Toastmasters for almost 13 years. I've held lots of leadership positions in the district, in my local district 25, which is in Texas, North Central Texas, centered on Fort Worth, not Dallas. Very important distinction. But I've held many leadership roles, including the top three positions known as the trio. In my paid job, I am a manager in the IT field, managing a group of 9 people. I have recently adopted the mantra, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. And when this opportunity came up to share a session with you guys, I jumped at the chance to talk about leadership, and specifically little L leadership. Easy question. Do you consider yourself a leader? Can you say 100% without any doubt that you are a leader? Now, I ask this question of a lot of different groups, and I get about the same response from everyone. So I can assume that there are many of you that says, yes, I am a leader. Then there are several of you that are saying, no, I'm not a leader. And then there are still others that go, well, as a society, we have created leadership, this thing that is capital L leadership. And if you are not Martin Luther King or Abraham Lincoln commending the presence and the intentions of thousands, then you're just simply not a leader. And oh my goodness, this isn't true. Leadership happens in the little L leadership moments, in those happenstance conversations, hallway passings, trips to get coffee. For example, I have a friend that recently, through the power of social media, I was able to catch up with her again. A friend that I went to college with, her name is Irma. And Irma and I went to Texas Wesleyan together. It's okay. You probably haven't heard of it. It's a very small private school on the east side of Fort Worth in Texas. We don't have a big sports team, so you probably haven't heard of it. But I spent time, I was a senior, Irma was a freshman, and I remember these sugar and caffeine fueled evenings working on projects. And of course, in the middle of the night, you have to replenish your caffeine and your sugar. And there was a 7-Eleven just down the road from the university up on Lancaster. And we would take trips there. And I taught Irma the proper way to pour a Slurpee. You may not be aware of this, that there is a proper way. My father taught me, and I in part taught Irma. For a proper Slurpee, you have the cup, and then you put the lid on top of the cup, and you pour just about an inch or so into the cup. Then you take it and you tap it on the counter. And then you continue to pour a little bit more, tapping, pour a little bit more, tapping. You do this to let the bubbles escape from it, those air that they're cheating you out of profit, out of product for the Slurpee. And I imparted this information to Irma, and my favorite was blue raspberry Slurpees. All-time favorite flavor, and you can't find them that much anymore, which might not be a bad thing. But any time we would work on these projects, I just remember that we would dissolve any serious effort to create projects, finish these projects, would just dissolve into fits of laughter. Well, I was a senior when she was a freshman. I graduated, went my own way, and we just lost touch with each other. But recently we caught up and we went for coffee. One of the first things Irma told me was, "You changed my life." Okay, I know that blue raspberry Slurpees are pretty intense, but I just didn't think they were exactly life-changing. And she says, no, let me tell you a story. At Texas Wesleyan, at the beginning of every year, the dean would host a just back-to-school get-together. And it was a chance that if you didn't see people over the summer, you could get caught up with them, and also a chance for the freshmen coming in to meet the upperclassmen before school actually started. It was extremely informal, held at the dean's house, and it was just generally a good time. Irma, in the weeks leading up to this meet and greet, had spent a lot of time thinking and working herself up into just a ball of nerves in her stomach. And she had come to the conclusion that she didn't want to go to Texas Wesleyan. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do, but she decided that this career path was no longer for her. She went to her extremely understanding parents and explained the situation to them. And they said, okay, we hear you, but how about you go to the meet and greet and then we'll look at it after that. We'll talk it out and see what your next steps are. And I was like, all right. She gets to the meet and greet, she gets to the party, and she is the definition of wallflower. Hiding up against the wall, the shoulders hunched over, just trying to be as small as possible in the corner. Long dark hair, so it's hanging over her face, just trying to be invisible. And along walks me. I see her, noticing that she's probably nervous, and I walk up to her and I go, "Why don't you have a drink in your hand?" And of course, due to my tone, everybody in the room, about 30 set of eyes, went shomp, watching the situation. Without giving Irma a chance to respond, I say, "Colin, get this woman a lemonade. How can you let her stand there without a drink?" So Colin dutifully gives Irma the lemonade. She takes the lemonade and tentatively takes a sip, and without missing a beat, I say, "Not even out of the house a day and already accepting drinks from strangers?" As you can imagine, the entire room just falls into laughter. And it was at that moment, right then, that bam, Irma's perspective changed. People came up to her and talking about what I had done and laughing with her, and she relaxed enough to get to know people. And as you already know, she went to Texas Wesleyan, so she ended up continuing with that degree. This monumental moment in Irma's life, the incident that sent her off on a whole different direction, a different path than what she was going. And here's the kicker. I don't remember it. I'm sure it was me. I know it sounds exactly like me, something that I would say, something that I would do. And it's this monumental moment for her. And I don't consider it enough to even log it. You ever experienced this, the moment that just a happenstance conversation or a hallway meeting with somebody, you're going down one path and they say something and it sends you off on a whole different path? Here's a harder question. Did you let that person know what they did for you? That's part of the issue about leadership looking so big and beyond us. In Toastmasters, I do have a named title. I am a past district director for District 25. And for those of you that are Toastmaster members already, I ask for your grace as I go through a little bit of description of the program for those that may not be. And at the very least, it may give you some words on how you can help advertise Toastmasters to others. In a nutshell, Toastmasters taught this introvert how to exist and excel in an extroverted world. To put some more words around it, Toastmasters is an organization that you will find around the globe. There are over 350,000 members that meet usually on a weekly basis in small groups, 15 to 20 people, and they learn by doing. The program is set up to practice your communication and leadership skills, but it's in a self-paced manner where you have your choice between those or doing both. You have your choice of moving quickly through the projects or going slower at your own pace, totally up to you. To make sure I don't mince words, I want to make sure that I paint the clear picture for you that Toastmasters is not the organization that you enter one side, you check a couple of boxes, do a couple things, and you come out the other side with a certificate of certified presenter, complete with standard issued lectern and mouse pointer. That's not Toastmasters. Instead, Toastmasters is the organization that you enter one side, you work, you get feedback, you work, you might stumble, you lean on your fellow Toastmasters, and you work some more, and you continue to do this until you come out the other side a better you. Whatever the definition of you is, Toastmasters helps you become a better you. And it's an all-volunteer organization, except for about 100 people at the home office in Denver, Colorado. The entire structure hierarchy around the globe is run by volunteers. Why is that important? Because you get to try, and you get to stumble, and you get to try again without any promotions on the line, without any pay on the line. I joined Toastmasters back in 2009. When I first joined, I was quoted to have said, "I don't want to be a manager." Turns out today, I still don't want to be a manager, but there's a difference. Toastmasters taught me the difference between a manager and a leader. And hopefully we can all agree. If not, let's make a promise right now that we all agree that you cannot manage people. You cannot manage people. You can manage tasks, and you lead people. I signed up for this. One of the first steps outside of the club is the area director. And area director is a liaison between the district and about 4 or 5 clubs. I am there to help answer questions. I put on small events, but a big learning opportunity for me because it was about halfway through that year that, bam, my perspective was changed. I remember being in charge of the area contest and my chair of the contest. And I remember having a lot of things going on at the time. And once it was all said and done, the chair came up to me and she thanked me for the opportunity and how I just set a vision and let her fulfill that vision. However, she set within that vision. And this wasn't on purpose. I just got busy and said, "Here, I need you to take this. Here's the vision and go." But I learned this extremely valuable lesson that that's how you lead people. You set them up, you make sure that they have the tools that they need, and then let them go. Because I saw in this chair a look in her eye. There was something that happened, that she accomplished something that she never knew she could do before, that she had gone outside of what she knew she was capable of and completed it. And it was in that moment that my perspective changed. I was hooked on leadership. No, I didn't want to be a manager, still don't want to be a manager, but I was hooked on leadership. And I worked through the progression of leadership within the district. I went after several different roles, and then finally was elected to the top 3 positions, the trio. And that's the top position where my name title comes from, of past district director. In the role just below the district director, I had big responsibilities, very public responsibilities. All 3 positions have big responsibilities, but very much seen by others in this middle role. I was in charge of 2 conferences. I was in charge of training all of the officers for the entire district. And I was in charge of the contests for the year. And I had all my different teams that I was working with. and I was having a blast. I was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I was learning. I was trying things. I was getting feedback, and I was trying something else, and then getting more feedback and trying even something else. And I was having the best time of my life being a leader, having this title, being a leader, being in front of people and sharing that joy in my Toastmasters career. In my paid career, however, I could not get off of individual contributor. In my eyes, I tried everything that I could. I took all of the leadership classes that were offered by my work. I sought feedback, and I was told things like I'm rough around the edges, or I can be kind of harsh. And I apologize in advance for this, but I was told, no, Jamie, you just need to simply smile more. I'm going to take that comment. We're going to put it off screen, and we're just going to ignore that it happened. So I find myself one day in front of Karen. Karen is the leadership and development director at my company. She and I have had a couple conversations, so she knew me. She knew who I was, and I'm sitting in front of her, and I'm telling her how much I'm having such a fun time in Toastmasters with all the leadership I was doing, and watching the lights dawn in everybody's eyes on the goals that they're accomplishing. And I tell her that at the company, I just can't seem to get off of individual contributor, and I've done this, and I've taken this feedback, and I've done these things. A huge characteristic of an introvert, which I am, is that we do self-evaluations a lot. Our interaction here today is going to provide me hours worth of debriefing to figure out what went well and what I. But a problem with self-evaluation is that most of us do it wrong. And this was a TED Talk that I heard by Tasha Eurich. Tasha Eurich gives a TED Talk on self-evaluation, and is brilliant. I highly suggest that you go watch it. But in a nutshell, in self-evaluation, if you are constantly evaluating what you are doing and that you need to improve upon it, well, if you always need to improve, then you just can't ever do anything right, because you can always improve, which is a good thing, is always improving. But if you don't allow yourself to have some moments of win, then you're going to find yourself in this depression, self-evaluation, depression spiral. And Tasha teaches us that in self-evaluation, people are doing it wrong because they're asking the wrong question. People, when they normally do self-evaluations, they're asking the question, why? Why did this happen? Why me? Where did I go wrong? Why? And the question why is a backward thinking question. It makes us focus on the past. Instead, the question that we need to be asking in our self-evaluation is what? What can I put in place? What can I do differently? Because what is a forward-thinking question, and it keeps us out of this self-evaluation depression spiral. Now, when I found myself in front of Karen, I didn't know. I hadn't seen Tasha's TED Talk yet, so I wasn't smart enough to know that I was in this depression spiral, but Karen was. Karen recognized it, and when I was in the middle of my time, when I was in the middle of talking about this information, she stopped me, and she said, "Jamie, there is nothing wrong with you." There is nothing wrong with you. I was speechless. I had never been told before in my life that I was doing all the right things and there was nothing wrong with me. And Karen felt, well, except for my husband, but I'm not sure that he really counts. But Karen follows it up with, there's nothing wrong with you. We just simply need to get people to see you. And right then, bam, my perspective changed. I was walked into that conversation going down one path, and just those simple words from her, and I'm spinning off in a whole different direction. And you better bet that I went to Karen and I told her exactly what she did for me. And no, I didn't. Actually, I didn't. I fell into one of the three classic blunders. One, never get involved in a land war in Asia. Two, never go up against a Sicilian, especially when death is on the line. And three, and actually germane to our conversation here, never assume that others know the impact they have had on you. You know, of course, Karen, she was the leadership and development chair, of course, director. Of course, she knew, right? Actually, I'll never know, because she has since retired and moved away. Our virtual world makes it even harder to have the little L leadership moments, because they do happen in those hallway conversations, the walks to coffee. So you have to be more deliberate about speaking to people, just general conversations with people, to seek them out and have them. My company does a meeting every week called 30 on Thursdays. And 30 on Thursdays is 30 minutes, an opportunity for anyone around the company to book that time to speak to the entire company about whatever they want. We have had people, like I work in the financial industry, so there's people who have booked that time to describe some part of the financial industry to the rest of us. My Toastmasters group at the company has used it to do an open house demo type thing. And this particular program, our HR, is doing different leaders around the company and just having a chat with them about their leadership journey of how they went from wherever they came from to where they are sitting right now. And just a couple of days ago, there was a 30 on Thursday, and I don't always join. There's usually a lot of conflicts, but this one I happened to join. Little did I know. It was a person who was presenting as somebody that I greatly respect, and I've worked with several times, but she was telling the story of where she came from to be where she is now. And she had many points about her family and her children, which I don't identify with. I don't have that. But she did say something that stuck with me. And she talked about, very plainly said, I have never really had a North Star. I didn't know that thing that I was going for. I didn't know that title that I wanted. I contribute this to, like, she didn't know she wanted to be a firefighter. She didn't know she wanted to be a doctor. She didn't know that she wanted to be a CEO. So she didn't have that Northern Star that was guiding her, but instead she knew who she wanted to be inside and how she wanted to be perceived by others. She wanted to be seen as honest and hardworking and knowledgeable and family oriented. These were the things that she knew, and that she didn't have that Northern Star, but she knew who she wanted to be, just not what she wanted to be. And in that moment, my perspective changed. I thought I was the only one who didn't have a Northern Star. I had no idea that there were others out there that felt the exact same way, that I have done that too, that I don't know that title that I want to go to. I don't know exactly where I want to be, but I know who I want to be. And the path that was opened up to me, just those simple words from her, that wasn't even the point of her presentation. It was just part of what she was talking about. And you better bet I reached out to her and I told her what that meant to me, of what she said. And we have started a conversation, and I'm betting that this relationship that comes out of this is going to be one that I value dearly. We have to seek out, especially in this virtual world. I wasn't even planning on being there, and I ended up there with this. My path changed, my perspective changed. I'm sorry to be the one to break this to you, but it is very unlikely that you will stand on the Washington Mall and command the thousands of people proclaiming that you have a dream, or have the followers that Mahatma Gandhi did to enact the change that he did. It's not impossible. It's just not necessarily probable. But that's okay. Leadership is found in the little L leadership moments. Because if we constantly make leadership this big capital L thing, if we make it this thing that's beyond us, that's out there in front of us, then we give ourselves permission not to do it. And that's not okay. And I'm not asking you to change the world. I'm merely asking you to redefine leadership into little L moments. Specifically, I would not be here right here in front of you speaking to you right now if it wasn't for a little L leadership moment. Years ago, a boss in passing said in response to something that I said, you might benefit from a Toastmasters group. And I had no idea what it was at the time. I just logged it in the back of my head. And several years later, at a new job, they were offering Toastmasters. And I went and I walked in the meeting the first day because of that hallway conversation. And I would not be the person that I am today. I would not have the skills that I have. I would not have the voice that I have today had it not been for that simple suggestion of, Toastmasters might benefit you. To paraphrase Drew Dudley, a little badly here, Drew Dudley in Everyday Leadership, he says that there is no world. There's merely 7 billion understandings of it. 7 billion paths that are covered in trees, sprinkled in rainbows, 7 billion perspectives that can change. And if you can change just one person's understanding of it, my conversation with Irma, if you can let one person know what they are capable of, Toastmasters. If you can help one person change their understanding of how powerful an agent of change they are, my conversation with Karen and told there was nothing wrong with me. If you can change one person's perspective, then you change the whole thing. Be agents of change. Go forth and lead.